Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are looking at international macroeconomics. The focus of our chapter is our economic transactions with the rest of the world. So we'll be looking at today what we call the balance of payment accounts, and we are focusing on the balance of payment accounts for Canada. A country's balance of payments account is simply the summary of its transactions with other countries. Now these transactions can be split into sources of cash, so payments from foreigners, and uses of cash. So these are payments to foreigners. Now within sources and uses of cash, we can further split these transactions as a part of either current account or being part of our financial account. Now these sources and uses of cash, whether they are in a current account or financial account, the main distinction over here is based on whether the transaction is creating a liability. If any transaction creates a liability on one party, either on the domestic party or on the foreign party, that transaction will be part of our financial account. If it's not creating any liabilities in the future, then it will be part of our current account. Let's focus on current account a bit more. Current account has three main components. So the balance of payment on current account will look at the net sources of cash coming through purchases of goods and services. So when we buy goods and services, that's an outflow. So imports. When foreigners are buying our goods and services, that is an inflow of cash, and that's your exports. So the first major component of the current account is our balance of payments on goods and services, or simply what we refer to as net exports. Then we have international transfer payments. Here again, we're looking at inflows minus outflows. So this is net transfer payments. So any transfer payments received by Canadians minus transfer payments to foreigners. And lastly, the third component of a current account is net factor income. So this would be factor income earned by Canadians from abroad minus any factor payments that we are giving to foreigners. Balance of payment account on the current account is going to summate all three items. We are looking at net transfer payments, net factor income, and all three together are going to give us our total balance of payments on current account. Net exports has a fancier name now, and we refer it to as specifically merchandise trade balance. So the merchandise trade balance is a component of the current account, but current account is not just the merchandise trade balance. Remember, it now also includes these two other type of net payments also. Next, let's look at financial account. Remember, we said that financial account will have all of those transactions which create a liability. So when we create liabilities, we are looking at purchase and sale of assets. So financial account is looking at the difference between sale of assets to foreigners minus the purchase of assets from foreigners. So when we are selling our asset to foreigner, it's a source of cash, so money is flowing in. When we are buying foreign assets, that is a use of cash, so money is flowing out. So again, the financial account is looking at sources of cash minus uses of cash, but in terms of those transactions which are creating liabilities. So these assets could be Government of Canada bonds bought by foreigners, corporate bonds issued by Canadian companies bought by foreigners, Canadian stocks bought by foreigners. When we sell the asset, we immediately generate a cash inflow, but we have a liability that we have to pay off this money at some point in the future. Likewise over here, when we are purchasing foreign assets, liability is created for the foreigner, because as soon as we purchase their asset, our money flows out, so we are lending money to them, but against this cash outflow, the foreign party now has a liability upon them. Another way of looking at our financial account is that when we borrow money from foreigners by selling them our financial instruments, that is our total borrowing or total inflows. And when we are purchasing foreign assets and money is flowing out, that's a way of lending to foreigners. So our financial account is basically looking at net capital inflows. Whenever we are a net lender, financial account will be in a deficit. Whenever we are a net borrower, financial account will be in a surplus. Overall inflows will be higher than what we are using or spending money on foreign assets. Let's look at some examples now and see if we can categorize them as either part of our current account or our financial account. So we'll be distributing them in between these two, and also simultaneously we have to make sure whether it's a source of cash or if it's a use of cash. So let's start with import of gasoline. When we are purchasing gasoline from abroad, that's a use of cash and it is part of our current account. Next, I have purchase of foreign stocks and bonds. So when we are purchasing stocks and bonds, payments, remember we are generating an outflow. Money is flowing out and this is creating a liability. So we are putting this under our financial account. Next, I have payment to foreign workers. These are payments to foreigners. So it's generating an outflow of cash or use of cash. It is not creating a liability. So it is part of our current account. Then we have gift to our grandparents in Pakistan. So Pakistan is a foreign economy. Money is going out of Canada into this other country. So that is generating an outflow. Again, this is not part of my financial account because this is not creating any liability upon my grandparents to pay this money back. It's just a gifted money. So it will come under our current account. Then I have exports of lumber. If Canada is exporting lumber worth $100,000, remember this is generating an inflow of cash. So it is a source of cash and it will be part of our current account. Doesn't create any liability. It is part of our merchandise trade balance. Then we have income earned abroad by Canadian residents. So this is part of our net factor income. Net factor income, remember, was part of current account, generating a cash inflow. So it's a source of cash. If the Vancouver Aquarium was to receive a donation from a US citizen, then again, it's a source of cash. It's part of our current account. Lastly, I have this one over here, which is sale of Canadian Treasury bills or Government of Canada bonds or corporate bonds to foreigners. Now, remember, when we are selling our assets, Canadian assets to foreigners, it is generating a cash inflow. It's a way of borrowing from foreigners. So this is a source of cash. It will be entered as a positive amount and it is under our financial account. Once we have identified where they go, let's put all of these now in our balance of payment accounts. So here I have the table for our balance of payments for Canada with the numbers that we have used hypothetically for now. So in my sources of cash, everything will go that is generating an inflow. In my uses of cash, all of those items will go that are creating an outflow. Anything that is not creating a liability, merchandise trade balance that are part of our transfer payments or part of our net factor income will be under current account. And all those purchase and sale of assets will be part of our financial account. So I'll start with my merchandise trade balance. I have exports and imports. The net balance over here is negative $10,000. We know this is a trade deficit. Next, we'll put in our factor income, and in net, we have net factor income from abroad of positive $100. Third, we had our transfer payments. So transfer payments, remember, are not against any production of good or services. In this case, the net transfer payments are $100. So it's a deficit over here. My total current account is all of these three summed together. So in this example, the current account is in a deficit of $10,000. Let's now look at my financial account transactions. We had purchase and sale of assets over here. So in our example, we were selling Canadian bonds to foreigners worth $11,000 and we're also buying foreign assets worth $1,000. And you can see my financial account is in a surplus of $10,000. If I sum up these total sources of cash in this table, I get $111,500. And my total uses of cash are also coming out to be exactly the same, $111,500. This is a pretty interesting outcome. It's telling us that it doesn't matter what our source of cash is, whether it is through our exports, income earned abroad, through transfer payments, or through borrowing from foreigners. Total sources of cash must always equal total uses of cash in our balance of payment account. And if I take the balance of payments now, or the net now of total sources minus total uses of cash, the answer over here will be 0. If I do the summation of my current account and my financial account, current account, remember, was a deficit of 10,000 and financial account is a surplus of 10,000. It again gives me my balance of payments account as 0. So balance of payment accounts are the summation of current account and financial account, and they must sum up to 0. So the fact that balance of payments are always equal to 0 gives us a very interesting outcome. Total payments to the rest of the world must be equal to total inflows coming to Canada from the rest of the world. This fact is leading us to the fact that the current account is a mirror image of our financial account. If the current account is in a surplus, financial account must be in a deficit. If the current account is in a deficit, financial account must be in a surplus. Let's do a quick example to check our understanding of this fact. In this example, we have a financial account in deficit of $100 million. Now, if this is in a deficit, it means that our lending to the rest of the world is exceeding our borrowing from the rest of the world by $100 million. So we are a net lender. And this is telling you that your current account must be in a surplus. And likewise, out of all of these four options, the only correct option is option D. This also makes logical sense. Current account in a surplus gives you that position to be the net lender to the rest of the world. If overall your sources of cash in your current account are not enough to meet your uses of cash in your current account, you cannot be in a position to lend to the rest of the world. If the current account was in a deficit, you must have been borrowing from the rest of the world. And if you are borrowing from the rest of the world, your financial account must be in a surplus of equal amount. Let's focus on the financial account one last time before we move on. Remember, it is measuring our capital flows, inflows minus outflows. So it's another way of looking at net capital inflows. And as I said before, this is equivalent to borrowing from foreigners versus lending to foreigners. So whenever borrowing exceeds our lending, our financial account is in a surplus. If the borrowing is lower than our lending or lending exceeds our borrowing, financial account will be in a deficit. Now, what determines these capital flows? We have already answered this question in chapter 10 when we looked at interest rates. With free flow of capital, the interest rates are the main determinant of capital flows. Wherever we have a higher domestic interest rate, that economy will end up becoming the net borrower because capital is attracted to the higher interest rate. Savers from abroad will rather put their savings in the economy with the higher interest rate. So in this example from chapter 10, if the domestic interest rate in Canada is higher, Canada sees a net capital inflow. Because of the net capital inflow, they end up becoming the net borrower out of these two economies. So interest rates are the primary determinant of whether we have a financial account surplus or a financial account deficit. Remember, in terms of financial account, if you have a net inflow of capital, your financial account must be in a surplus position. For Britain, if they have a net outflow of funds, their money is flowing out of their economy, then overall they have a financial account deficit. If you have many countries, then overall the net borrowing by all those net borrowers must be equivalent to the total net lending by the net lender countries that are in our global economy. The main idea is that it's interest rates that determine the flow of capital and whether you will end up having a financial account surplus or a financial account deficit. Besides interest rates, we also have other reasons for global capital flows. The first one is risk diversification. A lot of investors do not want to put all their eggs in the same basket. So in order to diversify against risk, we see investors buying stocks and bonds across the globe and not specifically from one particular country. Secondly, we have strategic investment. In strategic investment, we see businesses are investing in different countries because of some strategic decisions that they are making. This could be in pursuit of some higher profits that they perceive to gain in the future. This could be having a bigger market share in that economy in the future. Lastly, we have certain countries or cities as global capital centers or global banking centers. Now, these banking centers are your London, New York, Hong Kong, Tokyo. We see these economies or these cities, in some cases countries, are going to attract capital regardless of the interest rates over there. So global capital will gravitate towards these international banking centers, and from there it will be reinvested in other economies or other parts of the world. Because of the financial services being provided by these international banking centers, we see capital flowing or gravitating towards those particular economies. So these are some basic reasons for how capital flows across the globe, besides the interest rates, which are the primary determinant of capital flow across any two given economies.